Longtime foes Eritrea and Ethiopia say they have opened the door of peace after the first high-level visit from Asmara to Addis Ababa in nearly 2 decades. Tuesday's visit has raised hopes for an end to one of Africa's most unyielding military standoffs. The steps towards peace come after Ethiopia's Prime Minister Ahmed Abiy said earlier this month he would honor all the terms of a peace deal, suggesting he might be ready to settle the border dispute, a move welcomed by Eritrea. In a highly symbolic move, the Ethiopian Prime Minister announced Ethiopian Airlines would restart flights to Eritrea for the first time since 1998, when the conflict erupted between the two nations over their disputed border. For more on the latest developments in Ethiopia, I'm joined in studio by VOA's Solomon Abate. Solomon, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you, Vincent, for having me.
You're welcome. So they say they are opening a window of peace. First, how is this being taken? What is the reaction on the ground from what you're hearing?
Well, there is, a big excitement nowadays in Ethiopia. This is a big addition to all changes, to all efforts that the new Prime Minister has been doing since he took office.
Yeah.
It's less than even 90 days yet. So now people are calling him as Prime Minister Bolt. Changes are so
like
fast.
Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt.
Yes.
Bolt, the Jamaican sprinter. So now there is a big excitement from the citizens inside the country and Ethiopians in diaspora as well.
Now, we're talking about, for example, the announcement that Ethiopian Airlines could start flying to Asmara. What are some of the things actually that stopped happening between these two countries that could make a difference today?
Well, everything froze, during the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The war erupted in May 1998, and ICG estimated that war at about 100,000, between 70,000 and 100,000 Ethiopian and Eritrean youth, and it led to a big economic catastrophe for both countries.
Yeah.
And the relationship between the two countries was interrupted completely.
Yeah.
So everything is now interesting how things are developing, and they vow to reestablish all relationships between the two countries. One of them, as you mentioned, probably the resumption of the flight of Ethiopian Airlines to Asmara.
So many people are still baffled by how Prime Minister Abiy can do this when we know that the coalition that rules Ethiopia has been very, very powerful. How is he able to do that? What are you hearing?
Well, as they say, personalities matter. And, things got so wrought, especially the last few years. Change was inevitable in the country. And there had to be someone to lead those changes, Otherwise, as you witnessed, the country seemed, to burst or to explode any time in violence, and it might have been integrated. So this leader came out of the EPRDF, the ruling party itself, and there is a coalition of some change-oriented leaders within the ruling party. So Abiy Mohammed was or is one of those leaders, and they are handling.
Now, we saw that explosion over the weekend, and people are concerned. Could there be some people who are strongly opposed, even within the parties?
You don't see strong opposition these days in the country, but there are some hidden or clandestine activities in the country. This is it stands as evidence for all this. But there is mild resistance or some kind of hesitation, somewhere.
Right. We'll be watching. We know there will be many developments in the coming days. Solomon, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Vincent.